the fact that there is no confidence in the international monetary system. Certain forces within the United States are committed to attempting to save this bankrupt monetary system. The methods to which they are resorting are consciously modeled upon those used earlier by Hjalmarschak, the Nazi finance minister, particularly during the 1933-36 period. That is, they are resorting to methods of extreme austerity, auto-cannibalistic austerity, in the effort to squeeze out of real incomes, of essential social services, and of the capital of industry itself, sufficient wealth to roll over for at least a time some of the bankrupt debt holdings of certain financial interests.
In a nationwide television broadcast a few weeks ago, I told you that on my first day as president, I shall declare a national economic emergency and launch the largest economic recovery program in our history. During each of the first 2 years of my administration, about $2 trillion in low-cost federal loans will be invested in building up our nation's presently rotting industrial infrastructure, plus building up about 5 million new industrial jobs during the first 3 or 4 years of my administration.
This is clinical insanity. You cannot find any basis, as I shall indicate today, some of the reasons for this. You cannot find any basis under which financial reorganization of the type proposed by the IMF and accepted by most nations can succeed. These kinds of proposals are simply the insanity of Versailles reenacted many times over. And in the United States, we're pumping up a balloon in terms of the financial markets through what? Through hyperinflationary methods. The printing of money to steer it into financial markets where it is heavily financially leveraged and thus results in an ascending balloon. There are 3 leading topics of interrelated financial, monetary, and economic policy shaping, topics which must be considered as crucial for a true solution to the global systemic crisis, which has pushed the world to the present brink of a threatened sudden plunge into a global new dark age. First, the fact that the present crisis is global and systemic rather than regional or cyclical must be acknowledged. It is not a cyclical crisis, it is not a business cycle crisis, nor is it regional. It is global. It is the entire system has destroyed itself. Second, the present fatally ill global financial and monetary system must be radically reorganized. It cannot be reformed, it must be reorganized. This must be done through the concerted actions of a key initiating group of governments. This must be done in the manner of a reorganization in bankruptcy, conducted under the authority of not international institutions, but sovereign governments. The required measures include: A, periodically fixed exchange values of national currencies. B, limited convertibilities as may be required. C, exchange controls and capital controls. D, fostering of necessary protectionist measures in tariffs and trade regulations. And E, outlawing of the creation of markets which conduct financial speculation against targeted currencies. Third, as measured in physical instead of the usual monetary terms, the world's economy is presently functioning at levels of negative free energy, which are presently far below a break-even point. The current levels of net physical output are insufficient to prevent the existing populations and economies from continuing to collapse into a spiral of accelerating general physical economic contraction and ultimate physical collapse. This economy is collapsing. The situation, relatively speaking, in terms of basic economic infrastructure of the United States today is worse than in 1933, when Roosevelt came into the White House. Now, we're at the moment in which the United States is gripped by the greatest financial monetary crisis in modern history, at least since the beginning of the creation of our republic. Now, although the United States has been in a process of decline from its former greatness as an economy over more than 3 decades, the majority of our citizens, including leading figures in government and other leading circles, have been for recent times in a state of denial about the reality of the way this present crisis came into being. We're going to freeze things. We're going to put things into bankruptcy reorganization. Things that must continue to function, including pensions and things like that, will continue to function, backed by the credit of the United States. The United States government, what it can muster. We will keep these institutions functioning. We will take large categories of this debt which cannot be paid. We will freeze it and reorganize it. For example, the certain category of debt, the so-called hedge fund debt, or financial derivatives debt, is not honest debt. Forget it. It's gambling debt. It has no basis in reality. Freeze it. See what we do with it later. There is no possibility of a non-collapse of the present financial system. None. It's finished now. The present financial system cannot continue to exist under any circumstances, under any presidency, under any leadership, or any leadership of nations. Only a fundamental and sudden change in the world monetary financial system will prevent a general, immediate, chain reaction type of collapse. At what speed, we don't know, but it will go on, and it will be unstoppable. And the longer it goes on, before coming to an end, the worse things will get. Because we are at a point not of an ordinary crisis, not of a financial crisis, not of a mere depression, but of a global breakdown crisis centered in the transatlantic community, especially the English-speaking transatlantic community, which will radiate, if it's not stopped, to bring every part of the world into a general breakdown of their respective social systems. If we understand these measures and are willing to take them, we can manage the crisis through cooperation among nations which agree on certain principles. That's always been possible. But if we do not do that, we are living at the brink of one of the great dark ages in all human existence, globally.